Okay, we are back to talk about Silo Season 2, Episode 5, titled Descent. This episode is written by Jenny DeArmond-Strand and directed by Amber Templemore. Silo, as Cameron said, taken from a series of short stories by Hugh Howey. While Juliet is in the middle of looking for a helmet for the suit she's creating, Solo confides in her that the water level is slowly rising in Silo 17 and asks her if she can fix the water pump because his home is going to flood in 10 months. Juliet refuses because she needs to get back to her own silo within a matter of days. After Solo admits his name is actually Cole Myers, Juliet discovers some odd information in an old IT employee file. The photo of Cole Myers looks nothing like Solo. Juliet confronts him about this, causing him to become furious. Juliet backs down, continues to look for Helmet, but collapses after she finds it because of the effect of some injuries. Bernard, back in Silo 18, gives Sims the figurehead role of Judge and removes him as his own shadow for his role he played in the Meadows movement. The move frustrates Sims and his wife Camille, and after initially being captured while escaping, Camille then goes and helps Shirley, Knox, Walker, and Carla escape the mob that's after them. New head of security Rick Amundsen is able to arrest Carla, but the rest escape. Meanwhile, Bernard asks Lucas Kyle to fix Juliet's old hard drive, revealing a coded note from Salvador Quinn and a group of tunnels on a schematic that lead to the outside of the silo. Sheriff Billings and Deputy Hank find a very much alive Patrick Kennedy, kind of alive Patrick Kennedy, who offers to tell them the secrets he knows about the silo. We get a little bit of everybody in this episode. One or two interesting things from Silo 17, but I think once again, more of a, oh, we didn't make it very far
Yeah.
in that silo, whereas we had a lot happen in Silo 18.
Yeah. I mean, you know me. I like to start with the negative. So let's get our griping out of the way.
Hmm.
I said you, unsurprisingly, the entire episode consists of Juliet looking for a helmet. As I noted last week, she did not have a helmet. Um, and we fall back into the thing where it's just her because of the dynamics between her and Solo. Whew. Thankfully, we were cutting back and forth between silos because the action in Silo 18 was pretty good, right? And it definitely kept my attention. There are a couple of interesting things um, to hit on in Silo 17. You mentioned the stuff about Solo.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Do we care that Solo is not Solo? Do you
Yeah, I mean,
care?
did we expect that his name was Solo and that played some sort of important role in what they're doing there? Yeah, I don't know why that would matter.
No, it
Um,
is more than that. It is more than that because first he's saying, "Oh well, they called me Solo as a nickname, but my name's really Cole Myers." But when she finds the photo of Cole Myers, it says Solo on it. So it would seem that this character we've come to know is not who he says he is. I'm still just not sure how much I care.
yeah, and what does it matter to Juliet? Why? What does it matter to? Why are you keeping that from her? Do you think she's some sort of someone's infiltrated this that knows secrets that he's not supposed to share? I just yeah, I can't comprehend yet what would be the reason why he would need to do that.
Yeah, I don't know why he would need to do it, and I guess I am curious about that. The way it plays makes some sense, um, because he freaks out when confronted about it. That provokes some fear in Juliet, I suppose, but also the whole thing kind of undermines her trust in this guy,
Yeah.
maybe precisely because he's been lying about who he is and why would he do that to a complete stranger and so on. And like maybe this guy is just insane or
Yeah.
something.
We've
Um,
gotten a couple of instances where he has sort of gone off a cliff when Juliet has done some things that he was not did not feel like she should have been doing. So this was just, I mean, maybe the largest reaction, at least in terms of an emotional or visceral reaction that we've seen. But yeah, I mean, just off the deep end with this.
yeah. And for us, from a viewer's perspective, I guess maybe this would be why I would care. We have largely been acting like what Solo says is true. We've
Hmm.
been trusting this guy.
Sure.
So
Yep.
maybe it should undermine that, but then I don't want to do that because it's just like I thought maybe we learned some things. I don't want to throw them all back into question again, but maybe we should.
Yeah. So yeah,
Um,
but you're right. So does that mean he's lying about the water rising? He's lying about what happened back during the rebellion. He's lying about his role. What do we have that we can actually trust now? I guess we really don't know.
yeah, I hope this goes somewhere interesting because, again, to circle back around to it, I'm not sure how much I care. Um, I just wanted Juliet to find the helmet, but I mean, actually, no, actually, that's not right because I don't want Juliet to just find the helmet and go back to Silo 18.
Yeah.
What I want is for her to make a deal with Solo to help him keep his silo from flooding in the exchange for information. Right?
Hmm.
Like something like that, or she gets to go into the vault, so we get to go into the vault and see what's in there. Um, and it's possible we might be going in that way because she also needs medical attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I could see that, this was sort of one of the hypotheses that I put in this week's piece, which is he's going to find her passed out. He knows she needs the helmet. He, whatever, ties her up, secures her somehow, and says, "You're not leaving here. I'll heal you, but you're not leaving here with this helmet until you help me do this other thing." Does that then give us access to, does he bring her in the vault to do that? Do we, I just don't know. I do want that information more than anything because, as you know more than anyone, I'm really growing frustrated with this Silo 17 stuff. It just doesn't seem to be moving for me. So it needs to lead to something.
I've managed to not be super frustrated because I thought since the beginning that she wouldn't be going back to Silo 18 until the
Yeah.
season finale. Um, and I think we're still on that path. So then
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, okay, well, what's going to happen in the intervening episodes? I mean, it could be in like the penultimate, it could be like in episode 9 or something, but I think that's kind of end game for the season. Here's something I'll throw at you to make this all more interesting for you, hopefully. I've got a theory.
Okay.
So this does tie in something you mentioned in your summary from Silo 18, which is Lucas getting on the hard drive and finding a schematic of the silo that looks different from
Hmm.
the ones that they have and are familiar with.
Yep.
And they seem to have, I don't know, there are these like lines extending out from the tunnel. And then one at the very bottom.
Hmm.
I think these are different things. Solo also mentions in this episode that, yeah, he does get power from outside,
Hmm.
right? Um, and I thought it was funny that I made a point of like shoehorning in a question about that right at the end of our podcast last week. It was like directly responded to it now. So I don't know. There
I,
could be
I almost
solar
I almost
panels
sent you a
and
message when that happened, like in the first after the first 5 minutes of the episode, saying, "Oh, like 3 questions were answered in the first 5 minutes of this that we asked on the last podcast." Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
So I don't know. That could be solar panels or whatever. And sorry, I'm meandering now. Let me get to what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that maybe in the schematic, the ones closer to the top are like power cables.
Mm,
But I think the one at the bottom is a tunnel between silos.
okay.
Now, we got down there in silo 18 in season 1.
Yes.
There's a door,
Yes.
right? The bottom. So I think that's a door to a tunnel. Now, also in season 1, when Juliet went down there, there was water.
Yeah. Right.
Why was there water?
Oh, was it not because well, no one's flooded that area. So you're saying water has come in through that tunnel up through the bottom of the silo because of what happened in 17.
That's my theory. That the
Interesting.
water from silo 17 is leaking through that tunnel into silo 18, and that's why there
Yeah.
was
Because
water.
she and what was the guy's name that she was going down there with?
George,
George. They
yeah,
never came up with a reason or found a reason as to why it was flooded down there, right?
I don't think so,
I don't think so either.
unless I'm not remembering something. But now, so this is my thought that okay, well, so if Juliet manages to put that together, or Silo puts it together for her, that might be part of what will motivate her to help him because if she realizes that the flooding in Silo 17 is also a threat to Silo 18. Um, and also then I'm wondering like if that is a tunnel, does Solo know that?
Yeah.
And does he ultimately say, reveal that information? And I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm
Yeah.
getting like really speculative. There is another little thing that bothered me in this episode.
Okay.
She's got the firefighter suit,
Yes.
no helmet. She's got
No.
her old helmet.
Yes.
That's not going to work because she broke the glass out of the front of it.
Right.
But that's not the thing that gets emphasized. It's like she can't get it onto the firefighter suit or whatever.
Yep.
So if then she finds another helmet that resembles her own helmet, isn't she still going to have that problem?
That was something I wrote about as well. I don't think sewing is going to solve this problem of protecting yourself from some kind of toxic air.
It's weird. So
Yeah.
that's my thought.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go in this direction.
And
Uh,
back to the schematic for a second in terms of the tunnel. I found it odd that it only seemed to go one way, right? So it's not like that was the tunnel that goes back and forth between 17, and on the other side, there's a tunnel that goes back and forth between 19. There's only one
oh,
going one
yeah.
direction. And so does that mean something? Does that not mean something? Like, are they not all connected to one another? I guess that, these are all questions that will be answered, but I just found it curious that we're did not seem to like, this way you go to 17, then 18, then 9, it's on and on.
Right. Yeah. You would almost imagine there'd be way more. But who knows? I mean, one thing to kind of segue in the direction of talking more about the action in
Yeah.
Silo 18, I was kind of happy with how fast things moved there. I didn't necessarily expect that. Um,
Yeah.
Bernard looking into it and so on happened like right away.
Yeah, so he moves, I mean, obviously immediately and appointing or getting Sims out of there. His new guy in judicial security is on top of it. They even find them a couple of times. And so yeah, there's some pretty propulsive action here in terms of getting these people, finding where they need to, where they want them to go. Guess, some couple of different times of escape, some real cat and mouse stuff going on. So there was a lot packed into what's essentially half an episode. So I was very happy with how this one progressed on that side.
Yeah, and how quickly, I mean, that he brings Lucas back,
Hmm.
who had just been sent back to the mines, I thought. I was like, well, we're never going
Right,
to see
that's
that guy
right.
again. Next week, okay. And gets him to work on the hard drive right away. Um, which I think he's using Lucas because he's not supposed to be doing what he's doing. I think
Yeah,
Bernard's breaking the rules for the first time.
I think you're right. I think that. I, I seem to latch onto the conversation of, yeah, he could go have anybody in IT go try to read this hard drive, but he thinks that, I guess, of all the people he knows that are in the mines, he's aware of this conversation or some of the conversations that Lucas and Meadows had. He knows that his brain is working in a direction where maybe Lucas is starting to figure some things out. So let me put my thumb on him and start to control him a little bit so that we can sort of rein him in some. So what better way to do that than to hold his sentence over him and make him do exactly what you want?
Yeah, and he manages to get on that hard drive pretty quickly. Also,
Yeah.
they're not dragging things out on this front. He's found Salvador Quinn's letter. It's
Yes.
like a love letter, but then it goes into code. That is as far as we get. We don't learn what it actually says in the coded part
Yeah.
yet.
There is I mean, this is not necessarily a spoiler. There is an episode in the future that is titled something to do with Salvador Quinn. So I presume there is a lot of information coming about this in the future.
Yeah, I think we'll get it by the end of the season at least. What's in there? When they've set it all up that way, right? Meadows was freaked out about this. She wouldn't tell Bernard, but now Bernard's on top of it, and so I think we're gonna figure that out. I don't know if that will be immediately, probably not. Um, let's see. You mentioned how Sims's wife,
Yeah,
Camille, helps Knox and Shirley at least.
right.
Walker seems to have gotten away otherwise, right? Carla gets caught. I don't know. Any thoughts about why Camille is doing this?
So it appears that she is a former raider. We know that she's got the uniform. She has some authority of sorts. I mean, it could be as simple as she is just not on board at all with how Bernard has been treating Sims after he's been nothing but loyal to him forever. But I didn't know if it was that plus sort of a having sort of a moral crisis here and want to do the right thing. I don't know if it's a combination of those or not.
It's an odd move. She's always been a little bit I don't know what's a good word, squirrely or
Yeah,
something, and never been exactly sure what exactly her motivations were.
yeah,
I mean, part of what's odd about this is Bernard knows that she did what she did, and yeah, I'd have to presume that she knew that Bernard would know, right?
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
not like she undermined the attempt to capture these people secretly. She intervened in a way that will be known.
yeah,
And I mean, I guess you could take that as I'm sending a message that you need to respect my husband more or something. I just don't know if it quite.
yeah, or almost that. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like she loves her husband a tremendous amount. So I don't know why she would do this, but almost like she was burning the bridge behind her, right? Or burning the ship so she can't return home. Yeah, it seems like you're not going to be able to really um, be have some sort of connection with Sims if Sims and Bernard are still, in some sense working together because they know exactly what you did.
Yeah, it's odd, I think.
Yeah,
Curious to see where that goes. Hopefully it goes somewhere that makes more sense to me. It just doesn't resolve for me exactly why she did
yeah,
it would make sense to me if she did it and got away with it, as it were, and
yeah,
her goal was to simply undermine the new head of judicial by making his mission fail.
yeah.
To say,
But,
well,
but they have a kid,
shouldn't have
right?
kicked Sims out of that job.
Yeah, they have children, right? Or at least one child.
Yeah, I believe so. One
It
and
just seems like she's setting herself up for a situation where she can't have that family anymore. I mean, that they know what she has done and they know where. I just don't see how she can come back from this.
I don't know. Curious to see where that goes. Also, what happens in Silo 7, sorry, 18, um, and the parallels that seem to be there with what we saw in Silo 17,
Hmm.
because the guy we started with when we got that flashback was the sheriff,
Yeah.
and now Billings is down there as the sheriff,
Yes.
and he finds Patrick Kennedy. What about Patrick Kennedy?
Yeah. Who seems to be on the verge of wanting to tell them everything he's learned. I don't know what he learned while he was imprisoned for helping Juliet or while he was, on this mission to firebomb the mob on behalf of Sims. I'm just not sure what he could have learned.
But what did he learn before that? What did he learn when he was helping Juliet last season?
Yeah, we don't have any sense of that. We
Do
don't
you
really
remember?
know.
I think we did. I was
Oh,
refreshing my
really?
memory a little
Okay.
bit. So I was kind of like hoping you remembered better than I did, but apparently not. I had to refresh my
I
memory a
remember
little bit
nothing.
on this as well. It's like what exactly did happen with Patrick Kennedy? And so apologies to hardcore Silo fans out there if I am not remembering any key details. But what did happen in season one is Patrick Kennedy helped Juliet with that hard drive.
Okay.
And I believe he saw the cleaning footage, the
Yes. He saw that.
whatever her name is, Carmody or whatever, the footage that makes it look like it is safe outside,
Yeah.
lush and
Yeah.
green and all of that. And I believe he helped her when she projected it around everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. He was yes, he was able to sort of help them, yeah, do the full silo projection. Yes.
Yeah. And then he got caught. And so, unfortunately, Ryan, I think Patrick Kennedy might be under the impression that it's safe to go outside.
Yeah. Yeah, that I don't know how I feel about that. If he's declaring himself as someone that can share all the secrets and his secret is something we already know to not be true, I guess on one hand, it would be disappointing that we don't learn more than we already know. But on the other hand, it would lead to some really interesting plot of, look, we heard from a firsthand witness who saw a video. It is not like that out there. We're going to push the agenda of we're going to go find out. That would be interesting.
I mean, it does lay the groundwork for a plausible path for that kind of rebellion in Silo
Yeah.
18, which we don't want to happen, really, because we don't want all these people to die, because we know it's not actually safe outside. The other thing I thought was kind of weird about this is, all right, so first I thought that the raider shooting Patrick Kennedy was part of Sims's plan,
Yep.
intending to kill Patrick Kennedy.
Yep.
Now, we didn't talk about this last week, but last week we found out Patrick Kennedy was still alive. That
Yes.
made me question that idea, right? And I thought maybe Sims was going to give him the memory erasing drugs as they talked about, or something like that. But apparently not. Now, this week, I'm back to thinking Sims's intention was to kill him, but the guy missed. I mean, he still hit him,
Yeah.
but he hit him like in the shoulder as opposed to in the heart or whatever. Is that how you're reading all
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. I would agree with that. I don't know that Sims ever saw Kennedy as more than just a pawn to get what he wanted, a pawn to help start, kickstart this, not only the movement against Meadows, but this rebellion that looks like, he's incited that. He's incited the mob justice against the four that went up to judicial. It just, yeah, I don't know that he saw Kennedy was more than that.
Yeah. I guess part of why I mentioned this is it's still a question in my mind as to whether they actually do have drugs that can erase your memory.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards thinking that they do, for various reasons, like if there have been all of these rebellions that people weren't aware of and
Yes.
stuff like that, but hasn't
It,
exactly
it
been confirmed.
also, it was a little bit revealing that the conversation Dr. Nichols has with Bernard in this episode, he talks about all of the um, things he would do for IT and for the silo because he was asked to. It can't just be that he would tell parents that he's removed their birth control when actually he hasn't. There has to be other things medically. He says he's helping people to help with his integrity. There has to be other things that doctors are being asked to do on behalf of the silo to keep things in order, keep things in line. That may be part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, maybe giving memory erasing drugs. I'm glad you mentioned this because we should hit on it, and I think we keep kind of skipping over the stuff with Dr. Nichols because it feels minor. But I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
we've hit on the question even at all here on the podcast of why it is that they are keeping people from having children, tricking them into thinking that they will be able to have children, but not actually removing the birth control, and what's going on with all of that. Do you have any thoughts on that front?
Um, that whatever has happened outside, this is sort of a lost island situation where, it's affected us and we can't have children, or a lot of people can't have children because, we have been impacted biologically somehow by what's happened. I don't have any real great theories about this, but, other than they'd all just want to control the number of the population of the silo, and they don't care if they give people false hope or not.
Yeah, but it's another one of these things that just it goes a step further than makes rational sense
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me. And so I'm glad this has come up to raise it as a question on here, and so I can make that point. Now let me flesh it out. Right? It makes rational sense to me to say we're all living in the silo underground,
Yeah,
and we have to have a control of the population. We can't
yeah,
have too many people, so
yep.
we're going to make everyone sterile with this birth control that can be removed. Make like with all women have that like pill thing, which I think works, right? Actually, whatever it is exactly. And then we're going to have occasionally a kind of lottery or what have you, where if you win, then you can be approved to have your birth control removed and have
Hmm.
children. Clearly, some people in the silo do have children,
Hmm.
right? Um, I mean, so why? make it seem like you removed the birth control when you didn't. I mean, I guess, all right, now that I'm talking this through, I guess it has to be they are making decisions about who's allowed to have children on the basis of criteria about those parents or potential
Yeah.
parents rather than by chance. And they're telling people it's by chance. Still seems a little thin.
Yeah, it could be that they are allowing those who they feel are more dedicated or devoted to the silo and to the pack to really have their birth control removed and allowing the appearance of freedom for others who may not, or just, we're going to give this opportunity to lots of people, a sense of, yes, we are being benevolent to you, when actually, behind the scenes, we're not.
Yeah, I guess maybe it still at least makes me wonder what the criteria are.
Yeah,
What is there some level of eugenics going on, or how those decisions are being made
yeah,
within the kind of raffle being a facade? It does still seem to me like it's a step more convoluted than it needs to be
yeah,
to lie to people and say, "Oh, you removed your birth control," and you're going to believe that, but actually, not do it anyway.
yeah, yeah,
That is there, and given that that's a through line in this season, probably will amount to something. And in the
yeah,
whole series, right? Of course, that
yeah.
was why that was the first thing that Rashida Jones's character got upset about.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's why she ended up going outside.
Yeah. Um, Good. Anything else we need to hit on here before we wrap up for
Yeah, a lot,
today?
lot, lot that we've gone through. I think that covers what I had on my list. I think that I am going to try to be more more of your mindset, where I understand and anticipate and expect that Silo 17 is going to be a certain way, and can
Yeah.
look for it to hopefully propel something in the future, and it makes some sense of what they're doing and why they're doing it this way, and not try to let it want to press the fast forward button when we're in
Yeah,
Silo
try to avoid
17.
that. I mean, stylistically, it is what it is. But
Hmm.
I will say I do appreciate how in this season, at least, going back and forth between the silos creates a bit more momentum. There were times like this in season
Yeah,
one where it was just like we're spending 20 minutes with Juliet trying to figure out how to open a door or
right, right.
something, and
Yeah.
but that's okay. I presume. Oh, just hitting on her wound really quickly. I presume this is from her breaking into the lockers and that she got a wound that's like infected. Is that what
Yeah, I
you
guess that
think? Or
probably is the case. Yeah, she was slamming her arm pretty hard against those things and trying to rip them off, and yeah, probably did some real damage to herself. When we saw her bandage herself all that up, and certainly did not see the this wound grow to that, to what we see here, which is really gnarly.
yeah, not good.
But I think that's the device now, to let it be something that Solo says he can fix or help with, if she gives him what he wants.
I think that's going on. The only other possibility that occurred to me would be if it was some effect from the fact that she was outside.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I don't know. But given how she was banging those lockers, like I was actually thinking, like, girl, you're
Yeah,
gonna hurt yourself. What are you doing?
exactly. You're gonna break both your arms.
Yeah. So I would imagine it's from that. And we'll see where it goes. Yeah, as you said, I think Solo's going to find her, and he'll have some medicine, and we'll proceed from there. And
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully, everyone in Silo 18 doesn't die. Um,
Forcing there, yeah.
but good, yeah. Been enjoying season
Wonderful.
two. Enjoying talking through here. Hopefully, you all listening have been enjoying listening along to us. Also, thanks for doing so. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do leave a good rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're watching the YouTube video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Appreciate it. Check out tvobsessive.com. You can find recaps of each episode of Silo. There's Ryan is writing week to week on season two. I wrote on season one. If you want to go back to the season one archives for whatever reason, and also articles on other shows I hope you might enjoy. Follow TV Obsessive on social media, search for TV Obsessive, and we'll be back next week talking about Silo Season 2, Episode 6.
All right. Looking forward to it. See you then.